Hi, everybody. Welcome to our book studio layout webinar. We're happy to have you here today. My name is Christy, and this is Paul. We're both part of the Dibley team, and we're going to be taking you through book layout studio so that you can see this incredible feature of Create. We know that you're going to love it because it's such an incredible feature. So we're looking forward to telling you more about it. So this is how today is going to work. I'm going to do a presentation and take you on a tour of all the features and the ways that you can customize your book before you send it out into the world. And then after that, we'll have a Q&A. So while I'm talking, you're welcome to put some questions in the chat. And Grace, who is behind the scenes doing some incredible tech wizarding things, she will take note of them and give them to us so that we can answer your questions at the end of the session. So please, we encourage you ask as many questions as you can. I just want to do a little bit of, not housekeeping, but just give you some info. One of the exciting things we're doing on this webinar is that we're running a competition. So 10 lucky viewers, as long as you stay until the end of the session, you will be given either 1 million tokens to use in Create, which is a fantastic way to utilize the AI software within Create. Or if you're a new subscriber, then you will get 1 month of Create Pro free. And then you can take notes and use all the things that you've learned today and get your books out there, which is what we want. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you get your books out. However, if you don't win, if you're not one of our lucky winners, then don't worry. We do have a 7-day free trial that you can use. And you can test out Create Pro and try Book Layout Studio for yourself. And I'm pretty sure that if you do that, you will want to stay and keep using it because it is that good. Okay, so without further ado, shall we get into this presentation? Let's begin. Right, I've got a book here that is, it's just something that I've created within Create. And this is the project that we're going to be using to test our Book Layout Studio. So just one thing I want to note for you is that over here where it says, does this really matter? This has got a special styling of heading, which is going to be important later. It's heading 2, and this one is heading 3. And when we are customizing our book layout later on, these will be important. So you'll see here we've got our different sections. We've got our chapters, our introduction, our front matter, and all of this is going to be customizable in the Book Layout Studio. So this is how you get to it. You've got your document, everything is ready to be published. It's been written and you feel like it's ready to go to print. So you come here to your 3 dots, click on that, go down to Book Layout Studio. And here you will see our fantastic Book Layout Studio. One of the things that I love the most about this feature is that you get you get to see what what changes you've made immediately as soon as you go into your templates. So let's start with the templates. We've got a whole range of templates here: clean sans, elegant editorial, contemporary serif. And each of these have different features that will suit different kinds of books. For example, modern minimal will be great for nonfiction or maybe a contemporary fiction. Classic serif is generally for fiction. And you can see every time I click on one of these templates, the preview is changing. So you can see straight away what it's going to look like. Which I think is really fantastic because it helps to save so much time when you can see those changes immediately instead of making a bunch of changes and then going back to the preview to look at it. So that's a fantastic feature that I love. We've also got romance fiction, which is specific for, obviously, romance fiction. Works really well. We're busy using that at the moment for a great series of books, so it works really well. And you can see it looks completely different. So now, for our purposes, we are going to make something ourselves. Okay, so we're going to create a new template. We'll call it webinar. And we are going to make adjustments to this ourselves. So we're going to click on webinar and go into pages and sections. Right, so over here you'll see we've got something called front matter, and then we've got chapters over here. Now, generally when you are putting your book together, a lot of these sections won't be here, but I'll show you how to add them later on. You can also drag and drop sections into, chapters into different sections. So we want the introduction to be there because I'll show you why in a moment, and your closing thoughts and your back matter. So you can drag and drop. It is so simple. Right, we go to our headers and footers. Here we go. You've got different styles of these as well. We have fiction, non-fiction, minimal, and custom. So we're going to go with non-fiction because this book is non-fiction, just to make things simpler. And then here we have where the customizing really begins. And you're going to see how incredible this is because as I change things here, you're going to see it happening right here, which is so helpful. Okay, so let's go to our chapter title. We're going to change it to assistant. And this is our footers and headers. So this is only going to come up here at the top. There it is there. This little section here is where I'm changing it. Let's make it bold just so that you can see what I'm talking about. You can change the size. And there's so many variations. I find a really good tip for when I'm doing formatting is to have a couple of copies of books that I really love nearby so that I can take tips from them and with this program put it together in a way that utilizes all those kind of things that I love about the books and their formatting. Okay, we're going to go to our same font just to keep things similar. This is for the page numbers at the bottom there. You can change where your page numbers, I don't know why they're not changing now, but they usually do change. Let's just leave it where it is, outside margins. Numbering mode, you can restart at any specific page number, or you can continue from the previous section. So whatever formatting you put in either your front matter, your chapters, or your back matter, most of the time you're going to want them to continue in that same style. But say, for example, you have an academic book and you want some Roman numerals in your front matter, and then you want the normal page numbers to start from chapters, then you would maybe use restart at a specific page number. So we're just going to go with continue from previous section because this is a more simple book. Okay, let's go back to our beginning of our chapter because that's where we have our chapter heading settings. Okay, so we're going to go back to our font to keep things kind of simplified and just also to show you the range of fonts that we have here, which is also so helpful. We're going to change it to bold because it's the chapter heading. It's always nice in the center, but you can change it to the right, to the left. Let's keep it centered for now. And let's make it a little bit bigger, just to be really bold. Okay, over here you also have letter spacing, which is the spacing between the letters. So if you want to make that bigger, it'll just stretch that font a little bit. Fonts are usually created with that in mind already. So it's really just a stylistic thing if that's what you like. We're going to keep it at 1. Line height is the space between sentences. So that's more useful for paragraph, but it works great here as well. Then the top margin is the space between the title and where it says chapter 1. So you can make it shorter, have it right up against that chapter 1, or you can have it right at the bottom of the page. That's up to you. And it's so easy to change. That's the wonderful thing about this. It's really very simple, and you can see it happening in front of your eyes. So it means that you can really make that decision as you're going through it and as you are formatting, which is really, really nice. I enjoy that. Okay, so let's just keep it there for now, maybe there. And then bottom is the space between the element that I'll tell you about in a moment, the ornament. You can change that. I'm going to keep it right up close, sort of close. Okay, so your chapter number, some people like to have chapter numbers, some people don't. So you can have them off completely so that you don't see them. You could have a number. You could have the word 1, chapter 1, or chapter 1. So I think we're going to go with numbers because it's nonfiction, and I think that's a nice way to do it. Okay, so we've done our chapter heading settings. Let's move on to chapter ornaments. This is a really great feature that we're expanding upon very soon. You can change where it goes, above the number, above the title, or below the title, which is where I'm going to put it. We have a number of ornaments, but as you can see here, it says custom uploads coming soon, which means that you can upload your own elements that you can use in your book. So if you have an illustrator, say, and an illustrator has done some elements for you, you can pop them in, upload them, pop them into your book, and it'll look incredible. So I'm going to just change the ornament to that one because it's nice and simple. It's looking good. So again, just like with the title, you have your margins. So you can, the top margin, which is the margin between the ornament and the title, you can easily move that. The bottom, you can make that smaller, which I quite like, so I'm going to keep it like that. You can also change the size. You can have it as big or as small as you would like. Okay. The tail piece is at the end of every chapter, and I'm going to put one in there, even though you can't see it on this chapter because this is the introduction. This is the... I'm not sure why it's not showing up there, but let's try and put it in and see if it comes up in our preview. We're going to put it after the content. So let's choose one. Let's have something different. So there it is. There it appears. Fantastic. So you can have that. That's going to be after the content. And again, you've got your margins, which will move it for you. I think it's not moving now because it's after the content, but let's stretch it all the way across. And there you go. That's a really nice way to just add some life into your formatting and to make it look really professional. It's really helpful. Okay, for paragraphs, we have drop caps, which is really beautiful for fiction. Or you can have, let's move that. You can have drop caps, which is gorgeous. I love how that looks. You can use your formatting at the beginning of the chapter or at every paragraph. So if I have it at every paragraph, I'm not sure why that's not working. Sorry about that. Okay. You can also have spaced paragraphs instead of indents, which is more something that happens in nonfiction than fiction. Fiction will generally have the indent, but even nonfiction has indents. And this is just a style preference, so whichever you prefer. Let's take the body text. So again, fonts that have serif features, which are the little A's, they basically have little tails on a lot of the letters. They're more used in fiction than nonfiction. But again, this is your book. You can do whatever you want with it. So we're going to make it, we're going to take it up a little bit, make it a little bit bigger, make it assistant. And then here we have the justification, which is great. You can either choose left. Let me show you there. Center, which you wouldn't really use for fiction. and then justify, which is all the way across, which looks nice and neat. We're going to use that one. Again, your letter spacing. So that'll separate the letters quite a lot. Doesn't look great in this particular instance, but maybe you would use it for something. And then double to make it easier to read. So especially if you have a book that's, say you're writing a book about dyslexia and you want to make it easier to read, spaces are really important for that. So yeah, if you're thinking that way at all. Otherwise, that looks good here. All right, so that's our paragraphs done. Let's go to headings. Now, those headings I showed you at the beginning, heading 2 and heading 3, we don't have any examples of heading 1, but we've used heading 2, which is the subtitle here. So I'm going to change the font of that. And I'm going to make it bold. We can again change the letter spacing, which I won't do, or the line height, which I'm also not going to use in this instance. And then again, just move your margins however you want it. And it looks great. Heading 3 is your sort of the title of the section within the paragraph, your little subtitle of a subtitle. And we're going to turn that as well into a little bit. And for this, I'm going to highlight that sentence, and you can do, if you want more on the page, this seems like a good place to stop because there's already a full stop there, so we'll leave that as is. And you can do this with all the different headings, depending on what you've used in Create when you've set up your document. All of those headings will be adjustable. I have a quote in this book, but I don't think you can see it in this chapter. So we'll see it when we do the main preview. But I think I'm going to choose just a classic author quote. So it'll show that. I'll show it to you in a moment when we get there. And then finally, the page settings. So using natural flow means that every page is going to be utilized. Unless you have specifically put a break in and have a blank page, there's going to be something on every single page, and the chapter will begin wherever it begins. Whereas if you say right page, your chapter will always start on the right side, which is generally what we see in books. However, say you're doing a poetry book or a recipe book, and you want something like a quote or something to start the chapter that's kind of a little bit special, you could always start that chapter on the left page instead. So we're going to start on the right. All right, now one thing that I forgot to tell you that is very important is that you need to save. Obviously save as often as you can. Every time you make a little change, save it, and then it'll make sure that you don't lose anything. The one great thing is that we're seeing our chapter 1 only at the moment, but all of these changes that we're making is automatically being applied to every single other chapter, which is fantastic. So let's take a look at what it looks like. Oh, wait, sorry. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize. Let's just go through this for a second here. You'll see if you click on this plus button, usually there is no table of contents, title page, or cover image in the front matter. You can add that yourself. So you'll add one of those, and then you can edit it from here. So here we have our table of contents. You can include it in the export or not. It could just be for your reference. We've got an option to show the title or not. So if you don't want to show the title, it can just be the contents. But we've shown our contents there. This has already been changed, but again, you can change it to whatever font you want. And like everything else, you can change the alignment, the size of the font, the line height, the letter spacing, all of it. Okay, so when you are exporting, You can include your front matter, sorry, in your table of contents, not when you're exporting. You can change your table of contents to include everything in the front matter, which we're not going to do because I don't want a page that says cover image, but if you don't have that kind of stuff in there and you want to include it, you can. And I'm going to include our back matter, which is our closing thoughts. Okay, then our title page. You add your title here, and in our case, it's starting fresh. Change your fonts, bold, size. You can have it right at the top of the page or set it to the middle, which is lovely. Then you can decide to not have a subtitle, but in this case we do, a practical guide to wellness. And you can take the divider away or add one, and you can have it in 3 different sizes, short, long, or full. Quite like the long, let's leave that there. And the author I've just made is Dibley Publishing, so you can see that there. And you can have that right at the bottom or in the middle, sitting all together. And we've decided to start this one on a new page, or it could just be on the following page. Okay, we've got a nice, let's take that out and show you how you can input it. So you can choose a cover from your computer, upload it, and then you have 2 options here. You can have margins, which means that when it gets printed, it will have a white border around it, which is not ideal for paperback, but it's fine for an ebook because an ebook is going to be adjusted for size anyway, so you don't need to worry about that. If you have full bleed, it's going to go all the way to the end, but you'll see here that you have to be very specific with your size of your book, because otherwise you're going to crop out things that you don't want to have cropped out, important information. So yeah, make sure that you have your page, your book size, sorry, your dimensions correct before you add that. Then we have your dedication with the same way to adjust it as all of the other sections. You can include, oh, that's that's headers and footers. Okay. And then your copyright page, which is standard. It comes in the Create doc. It's pretty standard that it's there. And your introduction, which we're going to just change some of the settings here so that it's the same as the rest of the book. I'm going to change it to assistant, keep it nice and aligned. Let's maybe take that up a font. And we don't need a chapter heading because it's the introduction. We're not going to use a chapter ornament because I want it to look separate to the rest of the chapters, which will really set them apart. We don't need to use drop caps for the introduction either. And let's have an indent to match the rest of the book and change our font to assistant. And then let's make it fully justified, just like the rest of the book. And then our headings, we had heading 2. We're going to change that to assistant as well and make it bold. And make it bigger, just a little bit bigger. I think it looks nice centered. And then heading 3, there we go. Make it regular and make the bottom a little bit further away. Okay, and you can do the same with your closing thoughts at the end, or whatever you have in the back matter there. So we'll go to our headings, and this is a heading 2. So we'll change that as well. Make it bold. And then the paragraph will also change. And it looks good. So let's try and preview this. Okay, so here is where you can change the size of your book. Remember, if you have somebody who is designing your cover for you, or if you're designing it yourself, remember to make sure you stick to the same dimensions that you've used for your cover design, or vice versa. The two need to be the same, but we have a whole lot of standard dimensions here. Okay. Sorry, I think I lost connection there for a moment. And sorry if you lost me there for a moment. I hope you can all hear me again now. Okay, I'm just showing you the preview for those of you who didn't hear that section. We're seeing, so some things that you're seeing on your preview you might not like. For example, I don't like that there isn't enough space there. So I can go back very easily. I'll save what I've done so far, go back and make sure that in this section, there's a better gap here with this is a chapter, sorry, this is a heading. This is heading 2. Heading 2. And let's make sure that there's a little bit more of a gap at the top here. Okay, even if it goes off the page, it's better than being squashed up. Okay, so then it'll rather look like that. And then we maybe bring the bottom, bring the bottom a bit closer if we can. No, we can't. Okay, so we save it because I haven't been saving enough. I hope the connection is better now and that you can all hear me and see, not see me, but hear me. Okay, so let's go back to our preview. Just in case you didn't hear it, if the connection was bad and you didn't hear, this is where we change our dimensions for our book. And again, it automatically changes and applies everything. So let's just see. Okay, and obviously it does change, your size will change how each page looks. So it's very important, regardless of how you are formatting your book, to go through every single page and just make sure that you're happy with everything. Because it's so easy to change things, you can very easily just click out and go back in again. Okay, so as you can see here, because we've changed the page size, our chapter is literally just a chapter title. But if we change back to 6x9, which is slightly longer, there should be a little bit more text from the chapter. There you go. So your dimensions really do make a big difference. Okay, I'm not sure why closing thoughts hasn't. Let's go out and fix that. Closing thoughts is not justified properly, so let's do that. Closing thoughts. Okay, here it's justified, so I'm not sure why it's not doing that now. Let's go here. See if you're ever having any problems while you're formatting, there's a lovely feature on Create a Help Center where you can get some advice and help from people in the know. Okay, I'm not sure why it's not changing. It's a bug that we need to fix. It as a paperback or an EPUB looks like a Kindle, which is great. There are various ways that you can test it to see how it looks on various devices, which is great. But we're going to export it as a paperback. There we go. Let's see if we can see what the cover looks like. Okay, so you'll see what I was talking about earlier. This cover has not been designed sufficiently for this dimension. So you need to make sure, as I said, that you have the right size. So let's go back and change it to bleed for now. Cover. Not full bleed. Have it as margins. And let's just save and export. Okay, you have two options. You can export as an EPUB. And there you go. It's ready to go. You can also have a print-ready PDF. Oh, I don't know why. Oh, there we go. And export that as well. So as you can see, it's really easy to use. Everything is pretty clearly explained in each section that you are, where you're making customizations to your formatting. You can go in and out of the previews so easily. And yeah, it's absolutely, I think, saves you so much time, makes it so easy, and I just love using it. So I hope that you guys love it as well. Okay, so I think that's all you need to know for now. So should we go to some questions and see what questions you have? Okay, questions, great.
I think Christy's frozen again. While she comes back, thank you to everyone for the various messages and questions that you sent through. Thank you to everyone also for letting us know where you're from. Just before we start looking at some of the questions, just to mention, myself and Christy, we are in South Africa. I am in Cape Town, which is in the Western Cape. and Christy is in KwaZulu-Natal. Which I can't actually remember which city or town you're in, Christy.
Sorry, which time I'm in?
No, which town, which city are you in?
Oh, Durban.
Okay, right. So some of the questions, let's just run through them. The very first one that I had noticed was from Spy of Sai. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And they asked, let me just go to the question. Sorry, it just refreshed and ran down while I was looking for where is that question of theirs? Let me just see. One moment.
There's so many people from all over the world. It's really exciting to see that.
Yeah, so they asked if there's a template for a children's book, and actually Natasha, one of the owners or founders of the Urban Writers, the Urban Writers, responded and said that we are working on adding an update to support children's books. So that is something that we will be adding in future. We do also have a question from, let me just get to it as well, Pastor, I'll just scroll too fast, Pastor Jose R. Perez, can you submit a pre-written manuscript for AI editing? If so, how many words would it accept? Yes, you can. We have a humanization order that allows you to do so. And the minimum word count for that order, to get that order started, would be 1,000 words. So that is a yes to that question. Let me just see if there are any other questions. Is there a way to add sections into the front matter? That is from Lucy. Is there a way to add sections into the front matter? I only have three options presently: the table of contents, the cover image, and the title page. How do we add the copyright page? So, Christy, do you want to add that?
Yes, in your create document itself, you can make as many sections as you like. And then when you get to the formatting stage, you just drag them into your front matter. So you can really put anything in there. It's really up to you. Any other questions, Grace, that you saw? And then regarding updates, sorry, go for it, Paul.
No, go for it, Christina, you do it.
Just regarding updates, our team is constantly working on improving features, and we take feedback from subscribers very seriously. So I think that if there is something that you see that isn't there that you'd like to have there, reach out and contact the team, because that kind of thing just gives us an impression of what the user is experiencing. And I think that's really important. There's another question here. How do you import tables and apply styles? I'm not sure what you mean by apply styles. Paul, importing tables is something you can do into the create document itself. Am I correct, Paul?
Correct. Yeah, that's how you would do it. So you would do that in create. You would apply styles in create, so that when you open Book Layout Studio, you then are working with the content that is already.
Yes. The Book Layout Studio is not to add content. It's just to organize the content. Adding the content happens in
create, to end off Christy's words. So even images, for example, you would be adding in create itself, so that when you get to Book Layout Studio, you're essentially just making sure the content fits correctly, within the page parameters and the page margins. Let me just see if there are any other questions. Will we be making this available? Yes, we will. We will provide more information about that. Just for those who have arrived late to the webinar, so that is fine. I think one question. I came a bit late. Not sure if this was covered in. No problem. In Layout Studio, how many book interiors, 30,000 words, can be designed on average with 1 million tokens? Grace, would you be able to assist us with that calculation? Let me see if there are any other questions.
Book Layout Studio doesn't
There we go.
require tokens. Yeah.
Pastor Jose R. Perez, when you're dropping in the written document, will it automatically be formatted? So currently, when you're working within the Create doc, you are creating a template for the formatting, so that when you open Book Layout Studio, you're going to customize that, to the way you would like it to be. Do you want drop caps in it, for example? Do you want to have first line indentation? What trim size you will want. This is obviously for for paperback. So you're able to customize the formatting, and then you can then generate either a paperback document, a PDF, or the EPUB document of your book.
And if say you've chosen a template and you've customized it, and then you want to go back into the project and add more information, you can do that, and then it will be automatically formatted when you come back into Book Layout Studio. So you've chosen your template, you think to yourself, oh, I'd really like an introduction. You quickly take it back, you go back into the project, add your introduction, and then the formatting will apply. If you keep it in the chapter section, not in the front matter, but yeah, that's how that works. Should we do some winners? We're going to, unfortunately, so sorry, my connection is not good at the moment. Congratulations, everybody. And please remember that if you didn't win and you're very disappointed after seeing that, then please remember there's a free day trial period for Create Pro, and you can test this for yourself. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for engaging with us and coming from all over the world. We hope that you enjoy everything that Create has to offer, and have a lovely rest of your day.